بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. I ask Allah Ta'ala to grant us all the sincere intention and the good comprehension. Allahumma ameen ya Rabb. I ask Allah Ta'ala to grant us all to implement the good that we hear. Allahumma ameen. Al-Bukhari and Muslim narrated from the route of Anas ibn Malik that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. One of you would not be a perfect believer until he loves for his brother or sister what he loves for himself. And so it means they will not reach perfection in belief without having this trait in their hearts. They will not be complete, that is, perfect believers without it. Otherwise, the basis of the belief exists in the Muslims who are not upon this trait. Yani, as long as a person has the correct belief in Allah and His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they do not liken Allah to the creation. They do not attribute to Allah what does not befit Him. They know Allah Ta'ala exists without a place. The mind cannot imagine Allah. They know that Allah Ta'ala is the creator of everything, good and bad. They do not deny that. They don't deny anything that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came with. Then this person is a Muslim. They believe correctly in Allah and in all of the Prophets. Such a person would enter paradise in the hereafter if they died upon the correct belief. Now, in order for the person to reach a very high rank, there are other traits that they should have. On top of having the correct belief in Allah and His messengers and prophets. And one of those is implementing this hadith. So the hadith again is لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. One of you will not believe, that is completely, you will not be a perfect believer until he loves for his brother or sister what he loves for himself. And that means for the woman as well, that she loves for her sister or brother in Islam what she loves for herself. The hadith means one would love for his Muslim brother or sister in Islam whatever is good for them, whether that thing was good for their worldly affairs or for their hereafter. So let one ponder into this hadith. Yani, as we are explaining it, I ask you to really ponder into it, the meanings of it. Yani, open your heart, focus, think with your heart, and listen with your heart. And know that it is very rare to find someone who implements this hadith in a complete way. So keep that in mind as you're listening to the explanation of the hadith. Perhaps you would find amongst 1 million Muslims only 1 or 2 people who implement this hadith. And that is because whoever is God-fearing, yani, they don't commit sins, and they implement this hadith, they will reach al-wilayah. They will reach righteousness, a high rank in righteousness. The God-fearing Muslim, or the pious Muslim, is the one who fulfills all of the obligations and refrains from all of the sins. The one who does that, fulfills all of the obligations, refrains from all of the sins, and they implement this hadith, the scholar said this person will reach al-wilayah. They will be amongst those highly righteous Muslims. And so, as we're explaining this, think about what it takes for a person to truly implement this hadith. And you will know that every wali and every waliyah of Allah, they have this trait. They have this trait. They are perfect believers in that sense. And let us also think about our own situation. Do we love for our brother in Islam and our sister in Islam to be an obedient, pious slave as we love for ourselves? Do you love for your brother and sister in Islam to not disobey Allah, to never fall into sin, as you love for yourself? Because each one of us, we love for ourselves to never fall into sin. Even if we don't actually strive hard enough to not fall into sin, we would love for ourselves to not fall into sin. Do we actually love that for others too? Do you love for other Muslims? Any Muslim. Any Muslim. It doesn't mean you love it for some but you don't for others. No, for all Muslims, for all people even. Do you love for them to have good health, more wealth, a blessing in their time? Do you love for them to have eloquence in their speech? For them to have the Quran memorized and a lot of religious knowledge? Do you love that for others, for them to be very knowledgeable and highly righteous? Do you look at them and you wish that for them, no matter who they are? Just as you love to have those things too. Because a person can say, yeah, I love the good for others. But truly, truly do you love this for others? Like you love it for yourself. Think about how you feel about something that you love for yourself. Do you love that thing for others? Do you feel that for others too? Or is it just a statement that one might say on their tongue, which the heart does not back up? Yani the heart doesn't support. When some people go to advise a Muslim, and specifically a Muslim that they are not inclined towards, they choose a way to advise them, or words to say, or they choose a certain circumstance over another that they would not have chosen had it been a person they loved, had it been a person they cared for, had it been a person they were inclined towards. Subhanallah. One of our teachers said, the way that people treat some over others is a way in which they are exposed when it comes to a hadith like this. Meaning that they are exposed for not actually loving for others what they love for themselves. Not actually loving the good for others. Yani, if it was your daughter that you were advising, or your mother, or your sister, your blood relative, would you advise your daughter the same way that you advise that person whom your heart is not really inclined towards? Would you love the good for them like you love it for your daughter? Most people, they don't at all. At all. This person is not loving for others what they love for themselves. This person is deficient in this trait. One can learn a lot about themselves if they pay attention to the way that they treat some versus others, the way they speak to some versus others, the way they think about some versus the way they think about others. Subhanallah, yani, even if other people don't know that, you yourself, when you're sitting down, if you think about this, your own matter will be exposed to you. If you are a person that's truly trying to benefit and you want to look at your deeds like that and scrutinize them, your own matter will be exposed to you. You will see it very clearly. If you don't lie to yourself, if we don't lie to ourselves and we truly want to benefit, it will be very clear. We will see how we treat certain people and how we treat others. And this is the way of most people. Most people are never going to acquire this trait. Unfortunately. This is a very unfortunate fact. But we hope, and we ask Allah Ta'ala that we are amongst those who do acquire it. Subhanallah. One of our teachers said, it is so rare to find someone that implements this hadith. Another one said, you might find one person in 1,000,000 that implements this hadith. And you might not. Because those 1,000,000 people, those 1,000,000 Muslims, none of them might implement this hadith. So it's very rare. And it's not easy. It's very challenging on the nafs. That's why most people, they don't implement it. Most people, they give their nafs whatever it wants, so they have strengthened it in that way. It feels something, they feed that thing. If the nafs was hurt by someone, the nafs wants revenge. The nafs wants to complain, so it complains to this person and that person and that person. And this is a sickness. It truly is. It's a sickness. And many people don't look at it that way. They justify it in all sorts of ways, but it's actually a sickness. Anyone who truly understands, they know that this is a sickness. It's only ignored by people who don't have a good understanding and are not working towards what is better for them. But if a person sat in front of a person of good understanding, a highly righteous person, for example, and they spoke like that and they acted like this, they will know automatically that this person has an illness in their heart. Even though they might not say it to us in our face, but they will know this person needs help. So a person can learn a lot about themselves if they pay attention to the way that they treat some people over others. And if one person, for example, hurt you because of who they are, and perhaps because of something they've done for you in the past, or something like that, you might treat them in a certain way. You might have more lenience with them. And someone who you view as having hurt you multiple times or have been unjust to you, you wouldn't extend the same lenience to them. Usually, this is the case usually. But those rare people that we're talking about, they don't treat that person who hurt them like that. You see why they reach such a high rank? Because they love for that person the good, just like they love it for themselves. And that means truly. It's not just a statement that sounds nice. They truly do. We mentioned last week when we were talking about the other hadith. And the other hadith, by the way, I'll mention it here. It's what the Prophet ﷺ said, من أحب أن يزحزح عن النار ويدخل الجنة فلتأته منيته وهو يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر وليأتي إلى الناس بما يحب أن يؤتى إليه. It means whoever loves to be distanced from hellfire and admitted into paradise, then let this person die while believing in Allah and the last day, the day of judgment, and let him treat the people how he likes to be treated. We spoke about this. We spoke about good manners and how implementing this hadith is a high rank, and how most people, they do not treat others how they would like to be treated. There are some people that lie to themselves. They would say, we love the good for others as we love it for ourselves. But they would turn around and treat others in ways that they would not like to be treated. SubhanAllah, we have not reached this rank that we're talking about. May Allah grant us to reach it. If we did, we wouldn't do that. If we did, we would not do that. These people would do or say things on purpose, for example, to make a person feel bad. Or they would do something or say something to break a Muslim's heart because they felt hurt by them. You see how the nafs seeks revenge? The nafs seeks revenge a lot. In different ways, in very subtle ways as well. And subhanAllah, these subtle ways, they just pass. And the person usually doesn't even repent for them because it's so subtle and they've become so accustomed to it. And in their mind, they justify it somehow. But these things are not lost. عند Allah. To Allah, they are not lost. They are all recorded. They are all recorded. Just like Allah mentioned in the Quran, what means if a person does an atom's weight of evil, they will find it in their book on the Day of Judgment. Yani so small, so something so tiny, however, it wasn't good. There was an evil intent in it. Even though it happened in such a subtle way. And it's scary because the one doing it many times doesn't even notice. But their intention was there and the thing happened. This is not loving for others what we love for ourselves. This type of person would not reach al-wilayah, even if they lived 1,000 years. They wouldn't reach al-wilayah. They don't have in their heart the conditions for reaching this high, honorable state. They don't have it. Now, it doesn't mean that they're an evil person. It just means that they have things to work on if they wanted to reach this high rank, because they wouldn't reach it otherwise. Why are we gathered right now, each one of us? It's because we want to benefit, right? So this is a good thing, yani it's a good sign that the person wants more and more goodness. One of the things that differentiates the people, the Muslims, is how they implement something, or if they implement something that they learn. Because we're all gathered to take this lesson, insha'Allah ta'ala, all of our intentions are sincere, and so we get rewarded for being here and for listening, and for having our hearts be engaged in that which Allah accepts. But how many of us are actually gonna take steps to try to implement this? Remember last week I said, let's try for 1 week. And then I said, let's try for a month to implement the hadith that we gave last week. For those who actually tried to implement it, between you and yourselves, how was that? Did things come up and you were like, subhanallah, I could have done that better? You see, it takes effort. It takes dedication. And most people, they don't give it that time. Like when you hear something like this, that whoever implements this, they will reach al-wilayah. And whoever doesn't, they will not. Then a person just sits there. They never try to fix anything. Do they really want to reach this high rank? They don't really want to. They don't really want it that bad. On a surface level, yeah, they'll be like, of course I want it. But all of us would say that. So what makes us different? It comes down to what we do, how we implement things, if we implement things. The effort that we put in, the conscious effort. It's like the person is raising themselves, in a way. Like you're teaching yourself every step of the way. You have an encounter with someone, you reacted in a way, or you felt a feeling that you don't want to feel, or having a reaction that you don't want to have. Then this person who is seeking what is better, they won't just let that pass. They'll be like, wait a minute, I need to fix this. And they'll think about it. Like how many people actually just stop to think about something? Most people are like, I shouldn't have done that. And then that's it. They go on to the next thing. But the one who benefits more is the one that stops and really scrutinizes what just happened. And they make a plan, even if it's like a mental note, to do something better next time. To leave something out, to implement something. And over time, again and again and again, if the person is doing that, they will see a difference in themselves. Yani, Allah is so merciful. If the person is trying, insha'Allah ta'ala, they will find the way getting easier and easier for them as time goes on. And so we can use what we find in ourselves to push us to be better and to strive for what is praised. On the other hand, there are many people who don't even care about this, bettering themselves and seeking what is better. Some people would think you're weak for doing something like that. Some people would think you're weak or insane for loving for others what you love for yourself. I mean, if you look at one of the messages that is being pushed out all over the world and on social media for the past, I don't know how many years, it's definitely stronger lately, is love yourself more than anyone else. Put yourself first. And things like self-care and stuff like that stem from that, which self-care in itself is not bad, but if a person is living like this to love themselves more than anyone else, this is not from Islam. This is not from Islam. As-Sayyid Ahmad al-Rifa'i, this highly ranked wali, he was the highest ranking wali at his time when he was living on earth. He was the highest ranking wali on earth. And he is a descendant of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He is the one who said, غاية المعرفة بالله الإيقان بوجوده تعالى بلا كيف ولا مكان. That the extent of knowing Allah is having the certainty, is being certain that Allah exists without a place and without a how. This is one of his famous statements. He was very careful in spreading the true belief, subhanallah. He was very, very careful, and that's why his followers nowadays, they are different than other Sufi tariqas. Yani they have something special without a doubt. Without a doubt. You would find other Sufi tariqas, there are some weird things that have entered into them, and you would find a lot less of that in a tariqah al-Rifa'iyya, for example. And by the way, it was mentioned that one of the ways that he reached al-wilayah, one of the big things that helped him, is his humbleness. It's attributed to him that he said, he knocked on all of the doors and he found so many people at these different doors trying to reach al-wilayah, trying to reach righteousness. He said, I knocked on the door of those who recite the Quran a lot. And I found so many people trying to reach righteousness through this route. And I knocked on the door of zikr, for example. There were so many people. And he said this about different avenues by which a person can reach a very high rank. He said, until I came to the door of al-dhulli wal-inkisar, which means like the door of humbleness and breaking your nafs. Breaking your nafs. Not giving it what it wants, that revenge. No, you break it. You let it know this is not the way. He said, I came to this door of al-dhulli wal-inkisar, of breaking your nafs for the sake of Allah and humbling yourself. He said, I found it empty. Why? Because it's really hard on the nafs. It's really hard on the nafs to do that. These people don't actually see themselves as having a high rank. They don't. He used to say about himself, أنا اللاش اللاش, which means I am nothing. He used to say this, and he would cry and beg Allah to forgive him. And he was the highest ranking human of the awliya on earth at his time. Imagine that, the highest ranking. He was the qutb, the highest ranking wali. There were so many awliya during his time. Not like today, there were so many. So many people from his students became awliya. This man is something great, subhanallah. And he used to say, I am nothing. And we, who didn't even reach anything close to a status like that, we think about ourselves that we are something. Yani us normal people, that we have such a long way to go and so many things to fix and iron out, and Allahu A'lam if we will live long enough to do that. Allahu A'lam if we will ever reach any of the good things that we want to reach. But we hope. He actually reached all of that, and he used to say, I am nothing. And he used to call other people his masters. When he would preach, he would say, Ay Sada, O my masters. And then he would give them advice. He was extremely humble. May Allah raise his rank and benefit us by him. Allahumma ameen. Yani, he was an example when it came to humbleness. There are so many stories about his humbleness that if people heard them, if people just heard the story without knowing who was the one in that story, they would say, I would never do those things. What? That would make me look like I'm nothing. That would make me look like I have no status. That would make me drop in the eyes of the people. And then if they hear, oh, As-Sayyid Ahmed is the one who did those things, they would go silent. They would go silent. But they know that they wouldn't do those things because they're really far from these types of traits. Subhanallah, one time he was drinking water. Rahimahullah wa amaddani Allahu wa iyyakum bimadadihi. Allahumma ameen. He had been teaching in the hot sun. It was a hot day and it was sunny, and he had been teaching for hours non-stop, and he didn't even stop to have a drink of water in between. So afterwards, he went to have some water. So he went to the place where the water was, and he took some water, and some people had been doing something with flour in this area, and so the water was murky, if you want, from the flour. It wasn't clean, clear water. So his nafs said something to him when it saw the water. His nafs said, because he was about to drink it, his nafs said, you made me wait that whole time in the heat, and now you're going to give me this water that's not even clean? You know what he did? Do you know what he did? He said, Wallahi, you will not taste water for a whole year. He swore by Allah. He did not drink water for a whole year because he saw something in his nafs that he didn't like. He didn't want it to be there. Which is that his nafs was like, you're going to give me murky water? He swore by Allah to not drink water for a year so that he can break his nafs and straighten up his nafs. So for a year, he didn't drink water. What do you think would happen to a person that this is his situation? You think he cares what the people say or how the people will look at him? Or this is someone who cares about being accepted by Allah? How do you think his status in the hereafter will be, and his rank in paradise compared to someone like us? This is As-Sayyid Ahmed al-Rifa'i. May Allah raise his rank. One of the most humble creations of Allah after the prophets. Now, subhanallah, there were many pious women in history. Lady Maryam is the best woman that Allah created. على الإطلاق. يعني absolutely. And she was extremely humble. She had honorable traits in her. That's why Allah gave her that status, because her heart was not like the hearts of other women. She had more goodness in her. So Allah made her the best woman to ever be created. The mother of Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, and He gave her extraordinary matters. One of the most amazing things is that she gave birth to a baby which grew up to be Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, and a man had never touched her before. Also we have Lady Fatima, the daughter of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Some of the scholars said she was only 20-something when she died. But she is the second best woman that Allah created. From this nation, she's the first. She has a status that is even higher than her mom, Lady Khadija. They said her mom is the third best woman that God created. But if you think about it, someone would say, well, Lady Fatima didn't live that long. She was only 20-something when she died. And perhaps most of us here are older than that. But Lady Fatima's heart is not like our hearts. Didn't Allah the Exalted reveal in the Qudsi hadith that Allah Ta'ala does not judge you based on your appearance and your bodies, like the way your body looks, or the way your face looks, or the way your hands look, for example, or someone's abs look, for example, or the gown they're wearing, or the abaya they're wearing, or the scarf on their head. Allah does not judge us based on these things. Rather, Allah judges us based on our heart and our deeds. You see how everything is tying in together? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if the heart is good, everything will be good. But as long as everything is not good, what does that tell you and me? It tells us that the heart needs work. The heart is not good. There are things in the heart that need to be fixed. So every time we see something in ourselves, whether that be a saying that we say, or a doing that we do, or a facial expression, or a signal that we make, and we know that this is not the way of the pious, then we know there's something we need to work on in the heart. Now, these people, they definitely worked on their hearts. And they stayed away from many things. And of course, they lived at a time in which they did not have all of the distractions that we have nowadays as well. So it's not how long you live per se that makes you a better Muslim. It's what's in your heart. It's what's in your heart. If the heart is good, everything will be good. Because the heart is the leader of the organs. And it sends out signals to the rest of the body parts. So, you make that expression on your face, or you roll your eyes, for example, because of something in your heart. It starts in the heart. You react in a certain way, or you speak certain words, or you use a certain tone of voice, all of that because of something in the heart. And the faster that we can make this link, the faster we can work on our hearts. Also, you have other women, like all of the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They were all highly righteous Muslims. All of them. Subhanallah, the scholars said they all reached al-wilayah. And there were others, many others. However, there were a lot more highly righteous men throughout history. And that's just the way that Allah created things to be. SubhanAllah. Many women, they get really affected with things. And we find throughout history that there were many women whose scheming, whose plotting caused a lot of harm. This does not mean that all Muslim men are perfect, no. Because there are many Muslim women that are better than millions of Muslim men, without a doubt. They don't even come close to a status of one of these women. But this means that the scheming of women in general is especially evil. The devil is a clear and obvious enemy for the human, right? What did Allah say in the Quran? فَاتَّخِذُوهُ عَدُوًّا, which means take him as an enemy. Take the devil as an enemy. His enmity causes him to incite humans against each other by envy and scheming. Allah the Exalted said, فَاتَّخِذُوهُ عَدُوًّا, take him as an enemy. The devil is a clear and obvious enemy for the human. Allah the Exalted said in Surah Yusuf, Ayah 28, فَلَمَّا رَأَى قَمِيصَهُ قُدَّ مِن دُبُرٍ قَالَ إِنَّهُ مِن كَيْدِكُنَّ إِنَّ كَيْدَكُنَّ عَظِيمٌ. Which means, when he saw his shirt torn from behind, he said, verily, this is from the schemes of you women. Surely, the schemes of you women are diabolical. And that is because many women use cunning strategies to get to men or to get to something else that they seek to attain. And in this verse, the Aziz of Egypt was addressing his wife. And he's also addressing those of her gender that are like her, yani other women that are like her. He said, surely the schemes of you women are diabolical, because the women are very subtle in plotting when they want to be, and slicker in their craftiness. And this is something that is known. It's not just known by those women who are like that. This is known by the pious people. Some people think that the pious people are like not observant. They don't really understand those types of things because all they do is recite the Quran and just worship Allah. Yeah, they're so simple. Because of being like that, their intelligence has surpassed those evil people. Yani, those evil people might think that they are intelligent because they're slick and they know how to do these types of things, but the pious people, they're very quick and intelligent. And they understand these matters better than the people who are falling into them. SubhanAllah, they understand these matters better than the people who are falling into them. But they're so honorable because they choose not to get involved in those things. So these types of women, they are very slick in their craftiness. And by that, they overcome many men. And the women of that type, especially like the wife of the Aziz here, who live in luxury, these types of women, Allah has opened the doors of wealth for them. They are even craftier and shiftier than others. Subhanallah. Like, it's known. It's not something that's hidden. This is something, it's a type of character that is portrayed in books and in cinema and the like. And these types of women are like that, subhanallah. Some scholars said, I fear from the women more than I fear from the devil. He said, because Allah the Exalted revealed about the devil in the Quran, إِنَّ كَيْدَ الشَّيْطَانِ كَانَ ضَعِيفًا. Surely the schemes of the devil are weak. And Allah the Exalted revealed about the women, إِنَّ كَيْدَكُنَّ عَظِيمٌ. Surely the schemes of you women are diabolical, are extremely evil. May Allah the Exalted protect us and our families from the schemes of any evil person or jinn. Allahumma ameen ya Rabb. I remind myself and you not to put ourselves in a rank that we don't belong in. For us not to think of ourselves as something that we are not. May Allah protect us from that. It was mentioned that the one who gives himself or herself a rank that is higher than what they actually have, what their rank is to Allah, that Allah Ta'ala will drop them to their level. Dear brothers and sisters, the one who is exposed on the Day of Judgment is the one who is exposed in front of all the creation for what he or she did in this life amongst the forbidden matters, and died without repentance, and Allah did not forgive them. Such a person will be exposed in front of the first and latter nations. Everyone. And the embarrassment in the hereafter is not like the embarrassment of the worldly life. In this life, if someone is exposed for a wrongdoing, it'll be known to those in one's community, for example, or in one's neighborhood, or it'll be known to one's family members, yani the people in their household, for example. However, in the hereafter, it'll be exposed in front of all the people, all of the prophets, all of the awliya, the highly righteous Muslims, all of the other Muslims, all of the kuffar, the non-Muslims. The angels will hear this. So the person should strive to love for others all of the good that they love for themselves, and work on bettering their situation, yani myself included. We need to work harder. Subhanallah. Think about any person that passed away from your family. What do you think they wish they can do? But they can't, obviously. They would wish to come back to this life and do more good deeds, right? And they don't have that. it's not a wish that they can ever make come true, because they're gone already. Whatever they died upon, that's what they died upon. Whatever they had collected before that, they found the result of it. They woke up. They might have been asleep in this life, but they definitely woke up when they saw the angel of death approaching them. That heart woke up. And we have now what all of those people wish they can have. We have what they wish they can have. We can actually do more good deeds. Allah knows best how many breaths we have left. You can imagine that all of us here that are gathered, we have different amounts, right? Varying amounts. We probably won't die at the same time on the same day. Allah knows who's next. I remind myself and you to strive and try to take with you to your grave as many good deeds as you can. And it's worthy for the person to implement this hadith, because they would reach a very high rank. And a person never knows. If they work on themselves to try to reach something like this, you never know what Allah would give you, what Allah would open up for you, what ease would come to you, and what blessings would come to you. Allah is so merciful. How do you think all of those people reached al-wilayah? By the mercy of Allah and His guidance. By the mercy of Allah. So we should love for others all of the good that we love for ourselves. Love for others to be obedient, pious slaves, no matter who they are. Be happy when you see your fellow Muslim engaged in good deeds. Love the good for them as you would for yourself. Love the good for them as you would for your child. Some people, they love their child more than they love themselves. And they love for their child the good more than they love it for themselves, when actually you should love the good for yourself and love it for others too, the same way. And that is whether that good is religious or worldly, which means if you see a Muslim upon a good situation, worldly, like Allah has blessed them with something nice, something good in the dunya, then you're happy for them, truly. Something that makes their life easier in the dunya, for example, you're happy for them and you want that thing for them and you don't want them to lose it. You don't wish for them to lose it. You don't feel that tightening in your chest. Some people, when they see a blessing or an endowment on another Muslim, their hearts, they feel tight. But if you think about it, why? Why would they feel that? Allah gave them that, the Creator. And everything Allah does has a wisdom behind it. When the person thinks like that, they become shy with themselves. Like, how can I feel this about something that Allah Ta'ala willed to happen? Who am I to feel something like this about something that Allah willed to happen? There is something called al-ghibta. Al-ghibta means that if you see something that you like in your brother or sister in Islam, something that you wish that you had, then you are genuinely happy for them having it, and you wish for yourself to have it too, without wanting it to go away from them. And this is good, this is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Yani, if we see a Muslim has memorized the Quran, for example, the whole Quran, we don't feel a tightness in our chest. Why would we feel that? They did something good that Allah accepts. they put in that time, that effort, and they strived for something that is good for them. We love it for them. Even if we don't have it, we love it for them. But because we love it for ourselves too, we think, MashaAllah, may Allah protect it for them, and Ya Allah, grant me that too. Ya Allah, bless me with what you bless them with. This is called al-ghibta, and this is fine. And this Muslim would have left this situation not having any ill feelings in their heart, not feeling anything. If the person feels a certain way when they see another Muslim with an endowment, then let this be like an alarm for me and you. Yani, what happens, for example, if something in your computer goes wrong? You get an error, right? Or you get a message or something saying you need to check your battery. Like, I actually have that. It says service recommended. If a person sees these types of things in themselves, like something comes up which you know it shouldn't, yani it's better if it doesn't, then you see it as like, oh, service recommended. There's something I need to work on here. And do not dare wish for other Muslims to be drowning in sins, or to be in a bad state, or to be humiliated, or to be harmed unjustly. Do not dare be happy with another Muslim being afflicted or having a misfortune fall upon them. This has an effect on the heart. The one who is happy to see another Muslim upon a sin or in a bad state, they have a very bad sickness in their heart. And the heart would be led to something like this. If the person is feeding it in the wrong way for long enough, there would be a person, for example, that hurt them in the past, or whatever it is. It's usually, oh, someone hurt me, someone did something to me, like this. Then if they hear about something happening to that person, even if it's for a moment, their heart feels good. It's like, oh, that's their revenge that they were seeking, but it came without them having to do anything, type of thing. This is not something good. Yani you see that as a service recommended. Service recommended, red flag. You need to take a look at the heart, because the heart is malfunctioning, it might be said. Love for your brother or sister to be upon obedience. And if they fell into a sin, then love for them to rush to repent, even before you reach out to them to advise them. You should love for them to repent before you go and advise them. Some people, when they see a certain person fell into something, they're so happy. It's like, it might be said, they roll up their sleeves because it's their chance now to go and speak to this person. Oh, I will be the one now to advise them. If we implement this hadith, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. One of you will not believe, meaning they won't be a perfect believer, until he loves for his brother or sister in Islam what he loves for himself. This person will find peace and comfort, and we ourselves who implement this, we will be a means of relief and benefit and comfort to others. And Allah knows best. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.